let's have a look at solving simultaneous equations using the elimination method. So I have two equations here, and I'm going to call those equation number 1 and equation number 2. And remember that we're talking about two lines that meet at a particular point. And we're trying to find the x and y coordinate of where those lines meet. So that's what it means to solve, is to find that coordinate point. So we need to find the x value and the y value. So what I've got here is I don't have it in the nice form like I did in the previous one where I had a variable equals stuff or even y equals stuff. So I don't have it in that form that's easy to use for substitution. But what I do have, and in this case I've got them nicely lined up. I've got my x's, I've got my y's, and I've got my numbers. And they're all nicely lined up. And this is where we can use the elimination method. So to eliminate, think about the word eliminate, means to remove something. So that's what we're trying to do, is we want to remove something. So if I was to think about adding or subtracting these equations together in some way, then I want to try and eliminate or remove one of the variables. So if I look at the y's, 3y and y, they aren't going to nicely eliminate, and there is a way to deal with that, but I'm not going to do that right now. But if I look at the x's, they've both got that same coefficient of 2. So 2x, if I did 2x plus 2x, that would give me 4x. But if I did 2x take away 2x, then that's going to cancel out and leave me with nothing. And so that tells me that I want, from those choices of adding and subtracting, I want to subtract these equations in order to eliminate the x variable. And that's what we are going to do. So I am going to put a big minus there to show that I am eliminating and subtracting them. So 2 lots of x take away 2 lots of x leaves us with 0. Now we're going to look at the y. And so if I look at my y's there, I've got 3y take away y. So 3y take away y is going to give me a value of 2y. Then I've got my equals, and now I'm going to check my numbers. And so I've got 20 take away 4, and 20 take away 4 is 16. So what I now have is I have a third equation where I have now eliminated the x variable, and I've only got the y variable in this equation. So now I can actually go and solve this. So I've got 2y equals 16. To solve this, I want to get rid of that value of 2 because I'm trying to get to the form y equals. So 2y means 2 times y. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. And what I do to one side, I need to do to the other. So these 2's will cancel out on this side to leave me with a y. And 16 divided by 2 is 8. So now I have found the y value of 8 for that coordinate point where they meet. Okay. I haven't yet got the x value though. I need to find my x value still. So what I can do now is I can substitute. I've got a value of y equals 8. I've got part of a solution. I could substitute that either into equation 1 or into equation 2. And then solve and rearrange. That's what I want to do now. So I am going to take that. So I'm going to substitute y equals 8 into, now which equation am I going to use? 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, doesn't matter which. I'll just use the first one because it's the one at the top. So I'm going to substitute it into equation number 1. And so that equation said 2x plus 3y equals 20. Okay, so I'm going to replace the y with that value that we found. Okay, so we found y is equal to 8. So I'm going to replace that y in the equation with the number 8 and leave the rest of the equation exactly the same. Now I want to simplify. So let's multiply this out. So 2x plus 3 times 8 is 24 equals 20. Okay, so now I'm going to want to move that 24 across to the other side. So I'm going to leave my 2x alone. I'm going to leave my equals 20 alone. And if it's plus 24 on the left, when I move it across, it's going to become minus 24. Okay. So now I've got 2x equals 20, take away 24 is negative 4. Okay, nearly there. 2x equals, I want to get rid of that 2. So the opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide both sides by 2. And that's going to give me x equals minus 4 over 2, which is, so I'm going to simplify that, minus 4 over 2 is minus 2. So in terms of my solution now, the x and y coordinate where they meet is when x is equal to negative 2 and y is equal to positive 8. And so that is the solution to this particular equation, simultaneous equation solved with elimination method.